and welcome back to Bless Your Heart. I'm Heather.
And I'm Carlyle.
And in our last bonus episode, we talked about butterflies, dragonflies, and started questioning and connecting the dots to the little green men and what are they doing here? Or are they even here?
And speaking of little green men, time to throw in our disclaimer. Everything that we talk about is for entertainment purposes only. Everything that we share are our experiences or our opinions. So bless your heart if you take it too seriously. And tonight, we are going to talk about our favorite subject, aliens.
I'm so excited.
And honestly, once we dove into this, we found out that we have way more questions than we do answers. So we're going to break it up into 3 segments for you. Tonight, first, we're going to talk about, are aliens from another planet? Are they extraterrestrial? Second way that we're going to look at it, are aliens a government psy-op in order to usher in a one world order? And the third way that we're going to look at it is, are they fallen angels? And are we in a reign of evil and we're fighting to take it back? So let's go ahead and dive into the first segment. Where we're at today is my brother's house. They just renovated a home and they brought it back to its glory days. It's beautiful. And the guy that built this house, actually, we found out last night at dinner that he worked for NASA and he worked on a project called Project Blue Book. And Project Blue Book was to study if aliens were a threat to our national security. So, like, it is so crazy how this happens to
It
us.
happens to us every time, like with the vampire thing. All of a sudden, our waiter was a vampire. It's just nuts how this stuff happens to us. So we thought it was fitting. We had to do it at their house when they told us about how, the guy used to work for NASA and how he used to, study the Project Blue Book, which is so fascinating because there's also the Project Blue Beam.
Yes, which we will get to later.
Yeah. Okay. So talking about Project Blue Book.
Yes.
So we found this started in the 1950s to 1970s, which is interesting why it started at that time. But Project Blue Book is more of where there were studies of alien ships that were coming around.
And alien abductions studied, something like that.
Okay.
Somewhere around 3,000. And of those, there were 700 that they never figured out.
Some of them never figured out. Yeah. And that's when they also had the Barney Hill case. That was in the 1950s, and they thought they know that they were abducted, but they don't remember hardly anything. And it's like, God, did they put them under like a hypnosis or something like that? But basically, the Project Blue Book was made to just study, are they here to hurt us? So I don't know why it ended in the 1970s. I guess they found out that they're not really here to hurt us or something happened, but maybe that's when they started the Project Blue Beam. So was it Eisenhower that met with the aliens?
Well, supposedly.
Supposedly.
That's like
At a secret location
and made a treaty.
and made a treaty with the aliens. I'm not sure
That-
which ones. I
it's
want to
called-
say for the Greys.
It's called the Greta Treaty.
Yeah.
Greada, the Greta Treaty.
The Greta Treaty.
The aliens give us tech and the US gives permission for limited amount of abductions per year.
To study us and who knows what. I mean, could they be having possible sexual encounters and like producing another human/alien hybrid? I mean, you never know. I don't know. This is why we have so many questions about this, but this is why we find it so fascinating.
It's important to talk about. They're speculating about these aliens, so they stopped these projects, and then they went later on went into Project Blue Beam. But in the 50s, around the Cold War, that's when all of these like alien races started to appear.
Yeah,
So
surely.
you had like the Draconians, the Pleiadians,
Yes.
the Greys. They say that like the Pleiadians came to like plead with us to not blow ourselves up. So I
Yeah,
think
the
like
atomic bomb.
something happened in the 50s where we were at a point of maybe destruction. And if there are extraterrestrials from other planets, they were like, we got to step in and intervene.
Yes.
So what have you
Because
learned?
it'll affect that's what I've learned. So it would affect their planet if we blew our planet up. So that's why they're here. Also, I've read that they're here for some of the resources that we have. We're very good at planting our own crops, having our own farmland and things like that. But we also have like minerals and things that, they could use. So that's why they want to come here as well. I mean, how long have they even been here? But what's interesting is the Pleiadians. I've read that a lot of the humans on the planet could possibly be like a Pleiadian ancestry kind of line, or like we're part Pleiadians because they kind of look like your brother. They're very tall, pale skin, blue eyes. They have long white or very blonde, white hair. Very tall, kind of Nordic looking. But some people, we wonder like, would you even know if you had part alien in you? And so you wonder, like, are these the psychics of the world? Are these the people that are super sensitive? I mean, you're kind of sensitive to certain energies and stuff, like when you go to certain places, right?
I know, which is like crazy. I am so sensitive when I go to a concert, when I go anywhere. And, I've learned over time that it's like good energy versus bad energy. When I first stopped drinking, I felt like I was actually an introvert because I would go places and like I would need days to recover. And I
Yeah.
found out that I was like using alcohol to, I guess, maybe like as like a force field protector. Like
Yeah.
that's how I would like protect myself is like with this
Mhm.
poison.
Mhm.
Somehow it maybe it dulls. Maybe that's why they want people drinking because they want everyone's senses dulled. Yes, like they can't tap into their true like being.
100%.
Because once I stopped drinking, I was really so much more in tune with like what was going on in
Yeah.
every room that I was in. I could read a room, I could tell what's going on. And when people are drunk, it's like the only thing that is different about them is their inhibitions and their senses are lessened.
Yeah. And you probably have a spirit that comes in you. That's why they call it spirits.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why they call
Yeah.
alcohol spirits. So,
They
like,
they
does
come in
alcohol
you.
play into like your psychic abilities? And like,
So many black
so
it takes over.
if you are an alien, you know you're an alien.
Do you even know? I mean, we could be part alien and we don't even know it.
I know, and it is interesting that like my family has very distinct, distinct look: the blonde hair, the blue eyes, the tall. Obviously, I have brown hair, but on my mom's side, that
Yeah.
is like what they all are. And apparently, we're related to George Washington. And they say all the presidents are related to a certain
They are.
bloodline.
They're all cousins
What if
apparently.
I'm part of that bloodline?
Oh, you might be.
I don't know. We need to look
I
into
know.
it.
You might very well be.
But we got so excited about talking about aliens, and we forgot our bless your heart moment of the week.
Oh my god, and
So,
speaking of
yeah,
aliens.
go ahead and throw yours in there.
So, did you see the New York Post? All of a sudden, the media wants to talk about aliens when for how long have they hid it from us? I mean, it's been a long time, right? Since the 50s, there's obviously something going on. Well, I saw in the New York Post that all of a sudden there's this mothership approaching, and you've got scientists starting to speculate. You've got other media starting to talk about it. And so, some of them spin it as they're bad, they're evil, they're coming to hurt us, or what are they coming to do? Like it's supposed to arrive between November and December of this year, supposedly, if it even does anything. But so it's just interesting. So I thought that would be my bless my heart moment for the week.
Yeah.
Yours.
And well, that ties into what we're going to talk about later, which is
Yeah.
Project Blue Beam, and it's like to a T the narrative. But
To a
my
T.
my bless your heart moment has to do with good versus evil. I fostered a dog back in May, a blind and deaf disabled dog who was a beautiful little baby. Got her home, and due to reasons of the dog's not getting along, she needs to be a single dog household. They brought her back to the Humane Society here at Greenville.
Mhm.
I went to go visit her and she had already gotten adopted. And I was like, oh, fantastic. She's only been here 24 hours. She has a wait list and she's found a wonderful retired family that has all the time and energy to train her and spoil her. They even went so far as to say they have grandkids that come to visit them often. And then fast forward 2 days later, the girls who had previously had her sent me a message and were like, oh my gosh, why is Rue in Ridgeland, South Carolina at this animal rescue? And I wish I had my phone. I will post the name of the animal rescue because I'm going to put them on blast. But why is Rue back there? So then we reach out to the Humane Society trying to figure out how in the world this dog is already surrendered to another
Yeah.
rescue. They look into it. It's nefarious. The people were trying to make a profit off of her. They have her listed for adoption for $350 on their site. And then I'm sure because I went and looked at their page, they use these disabled dogs to raise money and like, we can't adopt this dog out, but we need to give her a good life. So they're trying to raise funds in a scam way and use this dog like to profit off of.
Yeah,
And
that's
so like
crazy.
these people are evil and they are sick and they will be dealt with because they have messed with the wrong chica. But
She goes on the way. She's gonna come get you.
I got a pit bull side, don't you? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it looks nice, but there are some people out there that have seen it.
Like the housewives of Miami. They were like, "You're a pit bull and you're in Chihuahua." You would be a Raleigh. Like, yeah, bitch. Yeah, I am a Raleigh.
No, I'm whatever dog kind of dog that looks so nice and like unassuming that just like absolutely will demolish you in like one bite.
Don't get on Carl's bad side.
Don't. I'm so
Yeah,
nice and
that's so
fun.
sad. I can't believe they did that. That
So
bless their that's a bad bless your heart. You
yeah,
know when they're like, well, you can't tell if bless your heart is a good thing or bad thing. That one's a definitely
that is
that's
definitely a like
bad.
bless your heart. I'm coming for you.
Yeah, yeah.
That takes us on to the next segue into Project Bluebeam.
So Project Bluebeam is perfect with that New York Post story because it's like starting to question because Dr. Greer's coming out, Dr. Stephen Greer,
Mhm.
and he's coming out hardcore, even with a lot of whistleblowers, and they're talking about how the government is either using CGI to say like this is the last card, this is the last event to get us like scared to death, so that way we will beg basically for all the governments to be one world order, which they have been talking about forever because they have to let us know, right? They
Yeah.
always have to tell us. But we don't realize that they're telling us. But they're going to scare, supposedly, that's what the whole Project Bluebeam is. It's like CGI in the sky. It's like, it's going to look like this mothership or all these aliens are coming to take over. It's like Independence Day, right? It's supposed to, and that's why you wonder, like, is that why they made Independence Day? To like, that's what they're gonna try to do, and they may even hurt people. Like, I've even read several people talk about this and how they think that, our own military government, the dark side of it, like, if they do try to pull this off, that they might possibly, like, injure people too, like, to help make it seem more real.
Of course they will. They have no problem sacrificing 3,000 people for like
Because we have or 2,
but, you know, it's like
3.
the psychology of it is just fascinating. Like a side caveat on that is like 3,000 people died in the World Trade Towers, which is crazy, but it completely altered the way that everything is looked at. 3,000 people
Yeah,
die a week from substance and like addiction issues, and nobody bats
and nobody yeah.
an eye at it across the world. So it's just like how the story is spun. So it's so fascinating that the news is starting to talk about the narrative that is exactly like these people have been speculating.
Mhm.
So you don't know, like, are they otherworldly?
Yeah.
Is this just the government pulling yank
Yeah.
on the chain?
But it's interesting about this whole like Project Bluebeam, the CGI and stuff. It's like people say people are warning us because if they do this, we need to follow our instinct and we need to look at animal behavior. So I thought this was interesting. If the animals are not freaking out, because the animals, what they were like leaving Yellowstone, didn't somebody have a bunch of videos? Now, whether that was true, but animals, they feel energies. They know if something bad's happening. So if that happens and the animals are calm, then maybe that tells us it's not real. I don't know. I never thought about that until
That's an interesting angle to look at.
yeah.
But it's like
Birds,
true.
how like the birds and stuff will start flying around and
Yeah.
everything show up. I don't know.
Nature is always a good sign of like what is going on.
Mhm.
Like animals react in like movies when there's like a spirit that you can't see. The dogs will always be like barking and on guard.
Yeah, yeah. The
So
dog
like
definitely
that's
bark, I would think.
like they are kind of more in the know. But on the demons being the fallen angels, I personally speculate, and I've been reading more about this theory that like we are in a time of evil rule right now.
Yeah.
That I think in the piece at some point maybe it switched over. That's why like all the alien hysteria and everything began. That we used to live in an age of enlightenment, and like the Tartarian was really like
Yes.
when good and energy
Yes.
ruled, like good energy ruled.
Mhm.
And they had all these beautiful structures and beautiful cities and all the world's
Healing
standards.
energy. Yeah.
And then ever since the 50s, everything feels like dark. And even though we're like progressing as a society, we're technologically advancing. But like, are we really advancing, or was there a reset like we've talked about? And like, we're in a time of evil. And like, right now, we're in an age of enlightenment again, trying to like be good to take back over.
I think so.
So I think people are waking up and they're starting to
Great
question,
awakening. Yeah.
and it's like we don't want to be ruled. by evil anymore. It would be fun to end with our personal alien experiences, which led us all here. So, all the roads that led us to our podcast started with aliens. And I can go first. Heather got married 2015. She's about to celebrate 10 years, like September 2015, literally 10 years ago. That's just crazy. So, we've known each other for a long time. We've known each other longer than that. But I was driving to Heather's wedding with my dad and my brother. I'm ADHD. I was highly medicated at the time. I was probably drinking too much Red Bull. I was going through an existential crisis because I was 25 and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah.
And I thought I was having a heart attack. And I looked at my dad and brother and was like, oh my gosh, you have to pull over. You have to call 911. I'm having a heart attack. I'm for sure having a heart attack. We got to pull over. We pull over. There's supposed to be a fire station. Fire station is closed. We call 911. 911 is like, where are you at? And I'm like, I don't know. Where you were at. The only landmark around,
This is just too good.
the only landmark around was the UFO Visitor Center, which I had never even heard of, but it's literally a spacecraft shaped building
Yep.
in Bowman, South Carolina.
Middle of no.
Built this as literally for aliens to come and have a respite when they were visiting us. It had a bathroom, a bed, like modern amenities.
Legit. I mean, look it up. It's legit.
It's a legit place. So I was not having a heart attack. I was indeed having a panic attack. I even tried to get the ambulance to tell my dad and brother I was having a heart attack, which is very illegal. You can't do that. Because I knew I was never going to live it down. But how in the world would I know 10 years later I would be sitting here sharing that story?
And that's what made us talk about aliens, on our podcast was because of our experiences.
Yeah. And then Heather had an experience and it.
Yeah, so I had an experience in Boca Grande in Florida, kind of near Sarasota, which is kind of where a portal is, come to find out. We didn't even know about that till the other day, so we're gonna research that. But so I was in a Boca Grande with a family. We were looking at the beach. It was like sunset, hour, and we thought it was a plane. And then all of a sudden it was moving like a plane, but then it all of a sudden kind of like turned the other way. And so that's when we realized it wasn't a plane. It became like an orb. It looked like a plane, then looked like an orb, and then it disappeared. And we all looked at each other like, what did we really just see an alien? So we went to dinner and we woke up the next morning before everybody else. So I wanted to go walk the beach. Well, on my way back, I noticed this head in the sand. It was so perfect. I mean, it was perfect alien head, or what I would think would look like an alien. And I wonder if it was the alien was leaving me a portrait of itself. But I ran to the house, got my phone, took a picture, and waited for everybody else to get up. And I asked everybody, I said, did anybody pull a prank? Did anybody go and draw this in the sand? I mean, I didn't think anybody could because it was so legit and professional looking. And nobody knew anything about it. And because I wasn't the last one up, right? And so I show them the picture and they all kinda got quiet, looked at each other like, "Well, maybe that is maybe it was the alien that we saw, and maybe they are, like, leaving a portrait of themselves to prove that, yes, what we did see, because we were kinda confused because that was years ago, like, almost before 2020, I think, and then after that, I was with my family in Amelia Island, and I woke up the day we were getting ready to leave, and I had this huge, like, line over my thigh. And I remember waking up, my husband saying, "What the hell?" And, like, we kinda joked, and I said, "Did I get abducted by aliens last night?"
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't remember. And, but it was a legit line. Like, it looked like somebody took my curling iron, and just, like, wrapped it around my leg, but it wasn't all the way around. But, I mean, it was weird, and it lasted for a couple of days. It kinda freaked me out a little bit, but, I mean, Eric and I, we both believe in aliens, so we were like, maybe I did get abducted, like, as a joke, but isn't that crazy?
Yeah, we need to look into this. If you've not told me that before, we need to look into was Heather abducted by aliens.
Yeah, I
Stay
mean,
tuned. Will.
you never know. I mean, it makes sense because it's all kinda like that Bermuda Triangle kinda, and that's something we wanna talk about is Bermuda Triangle. Like, we've even heard the people on, Bermuda say that they're, like, from the Atlantis. They could possibly be from the Atlantis time, like, their bloodline, so we're gonna dive into that, a little bit on another episode.
I think like my final thought is I'm more leaning towards their evil spirit. So I'm not going to be calling them in to hang out with me. But it's an interesting play. I think we're actually in a battle, good versus evil. That's what
I
I'm
agree
seeing.
with that. I agree that I believe that the aliens are here to help us. I think there were evil aliens. I think they're gone now. I think that's why like there's like that battle that you're talking about. And I think the good aliens are like with God, you know, and because they do believe in God, I think they call God source. But they believe that they were, you know, made by God like we do. So I kind of leaning towards, you know, the aliens are good. They're here to help us, kind of like the Pleiadians. But I do believe that there are evil ones like the fallen angels you were talking about that separated from God with his angels. So I definitely believe in all of it, a little bit of all of it, honestly.
Next week, we're going to talk about the Bermuda Triangle and everything that that entails. So, bless your heart for hanging out with us. Stay curious, question everything, and let us know what your thoughts are on aliens.
Let us know if you've been abducted or have any alien experiences. We would love to hear about
I
it.
know we really would love to hear what your thoughts are because it's just so fun and fascinating. So, when you see us out on the streets, let us know. Bless your heart.
See you next time.
Mhm.